Hi Sewmates, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a fitted female trouser. A few weeks back, I made this waistcoat and I got a couple of comments that I should upload the trouser tutorial. This tutorial is on how to make a fitted trouser like the one you are seeing in this video. Keep on watching and let's get started. I'll be recreating the trouser with this blue cotton fabric. I have about 3 yards here. You can also use crepe fabric. The one in the intro video is a crepe fabric, so you can use crepe to also recreate the style. I have a line marked across the paper and this line will serve as the waistline. From the waistline, I'll go ahead and mark the hip line. The hip line I am working with here is 10 inches. Take note that this trouser is a high waist trouser. It is not a low waist, it is a high waist trouser. Mark the hip line and connect that into a straight line. After marking the hip line, I'll go ahead and mark the crotch line. There is a diagram showing on the screen right now to show you how to measure the crotch line. Take that measurement on your body and mark it. For the measurement I am working with, the crotch line is 13 inches. From the waistline, I'll mark 13 inches and connect that into a straight line. After connecting, I'll label the hip line and the crotch line. The next measurement I'll be marking is the hip measurement divided by 4. I'll mark that on the hip line and also on the crotch line. Please, when you are taking the measurements for the trouser, especially the circumference measurements, make sure that you take it snugly on the body. Don't make it loose at all. It needs to be fitted. So when you are taking that measurement, make it fitted also. The next thing I'll be doing is to mark the crotch extension. So for the crotch extension, I'll be using 2.5 inches. If your hip measurement is between 38, 40, 42, you can use 2.5 inches for your crotch extension. If it is above 42 inches, like 45, 46, 48, 50, you can use 3 to 3.5 inches for the crotch extension as the case may be. On the waistline, I'll go ahead and take that same hip measurement divided by 4. I'll mark it there and I'll connect. Now I am going to connect the lines from the waistline to the hip line and the crotch line with a straight line like you see me doing. And then for the crotch extension, before I connect that, I'll go up by 2 inches at that point and also come out by 1 inch. This is just to enable me get a good curve to connect the crotch at this point. So I'm just going to connect with my curved ruler like you see me doing. The next step is to take the measurements I have on the crotch line. Measure what you have there and you're going to take it all the way down to the end of the paper. Measure what you have on your crotch line and take it all the way down to the end of the paper. I'm going to connect the lines faintly with a pen. This is not the actual line we need. This is just like a guide. That is why I connected with a pen. Now I'm going to get the midpoint of that line. Just get the midpoint all the way to the end of the paper. Get the midpoint there and you're going to connect it with a straight line. The next measurement I'll be taking is from the waistline to the knee line. Please, when taking this measurement, make sure that you take it at least 1 inch above your knee line, not exactly on your knee line. Take it 1 inch above your knee line. After marking that point, I'll connect with a straight line. Next, I'll mark the waist measurements divided by 4. Mark it on the waistline and I'll add 1 inch allowance for that. Add 1 inch allowance for that, and from that point, I'm going to connect it into the waistline. To mark the dart points, I'll go in with the nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2, which is 4 inches for this measurement. And after that, I'll mark the length of the dart, which is 5 inches. For this front pattern, the length of dart is 5 inches. And I'll come out by ½ inch on both sides of the dart leg, and I'll connect like you see me doing. I am labeling this the front pattern, so label your pattern. And the next step is to get the full length of your trouser. Mark the full length of your trouser and label the line the full length line. The next measurement I'll be marking now is the new circumference, the round knee measurements divided by 2. For mine it is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches. That means I'm going to share that 8 inches in between the center line, which simply means that I will have 4 inches on the left side of the line and 4 inches on the right side of the line. Now you are going to connect the knee line to the crotch line on both sides. At the full length line, you are going to take your round ankle measurement. After taking that measurement, you are going to divide it by 2. Whatever you get, you are going to divide this like we did with the knee line. For mine here, it is 13. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. That means I am going to have 3.25 on the left side and 3.25 on the right side. After marking the points, I'll connect it to the knee line. That is all on the front pattern. I'll cut it out now. To cut the back pattern, place the front pattern on another piece of paper and use your masking tape to hold it together. The first thing I am going to do here is to extend the back crotch with 2 inches. After extending it by 2 inches, I'll come down by 0.5 inch at that point. Next, at the top, I'll go in by 2 inches. And from that 2 inches point, I'll go up by 1.5 inches. This is to extend the back waistline. Because we came in by 2 inches from the waistline there, we are going to replace that 2 inches on the side. So replace that 2 inches there, and I'll connect from the 2 inches point to make the 1.5 inch mark at the top. Connect that with a straight line. Now on the waistline, I am going to mark 1 inch all the way down to the end of the paper. After marking, I'll connect the dots together. The next step now is to connect the back crotch. At this point, before I take out the front pattern, I am going to extend this side. Because we came out by 2 inches from the crotch, on the knee line, I'm just going to mark 1 inch. And at the full length line, I'm going to mark 1 inch and I'll connect the lines together. After connecting that, I can now take out the front pattern and I'll connect my crotch from the twist line to meet this other part. I'll just use the curved ruler to connect it. The next step is to connect the lines on the paper and label it accordingly. Another thing I'm going to do is to divide the line on the crotch line, get the midpoint. The same thing for the knee line also, I'll get the midpoint, and at the full length line, I'll also get the midpoint. Once I get the midpoint for the 3 lines, I'll connect with a straight line. The next step is to mark the dart line on the waistline, going with your nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2, and the length of the dart for this back pattern is 7 inches. Connect that into a straight line, and then you're going to come out by ½ inch on both sides of the dart leg, and you're going to connect like you see me doing. That is all on the back pattern. I'll cut it out now. I'll be cutting out my band from this pattern. The kind of trouser we are trying to achieve here is a fitted trouser, so I'll be cutting out the band from the pattern. Close your dart and use your masking tape to hold it down. And the length of the band I want is 1.5 inches. Now I am just going to mark 1.5 inches on this pattern. After marking the 1.5 inches, I'll cut it out. Before cutting out, please label the band. Indicate where the side front is and where the center front is, and indicate where the top of the band and the bottom of the band is. You can point arrows to the top and bottom. This is what your band should look like after cutting. I am bringing in the front pattern so that we can do the same thing we did for the back on this front pattern. Use a masking tape to hold your dart in place and measure the length of the band, which is 1.5 inches. After marking that, connect into a straight line and then cut it out. Make sure to label the sides of the band so that you don't get confused when you are transferring to fabric. Another thing we have to cut out is the zipper fly. I'll be making use of a front zipper fly for this trouser. This is my front pattern on the table, and I'm just going to place another piece of paper underneath it. The length of the zipper fly I want is 8.5 inches. So from the waistline, I'm just going to mark 8.5 inches and I'll make a mark there. I'll connect that into a straight line, and to measure how wide I want the zipper fly to be, I'll make use of 2 inches. Mark the 2 inches. After marking, I'll connect the points with my ruler and curve, just like you see me doing. After cutting out, this is what I have for the zipper fly. You need to label the pattern for the zipper fly so you know exactly the points that will be attached to the front of the trouser. Also, take note that you'll be cutting out 2 pieces for this pattern. When transferring to fabric, you need 2 pieces. Still on the front pattern, I just want to transfer the front band into another piece of paper and add the necessary allowance. You can do it in 2 ways. You can decide to transfer directly on your fabric, or you bring out another piece of paper and place it on it and transfer what you have there and add all the necessary allowance. But what I'll be doing here is to transfer the band into another piece of paper and add allowances all around the band. For the side, I am going to add 1 inch allowance on the side of the band, that is the side of the trouser. At the bottom, I am going to add ½ inch. At the top, I will also add ½ inch. On the center front of the band, I'm going to take into consideration the zipper fly. So because we marked 2 inches for the zipper fly, I'm also going to extend the center front of the band by 2 inches. I hope you understand what I mean. Because we have a zipper fly of 2 inches for the front pattern, I am also going to extend the center front of the band by 2 inches. So mark your 2 inches and connect all the dots together. Don't forget, I added 1 inch allowance for the side of the band. To the top, I added ½ inch. At the bottom, I added ½ inch. After connecting all the dots together, I'll cut it out. One thing I want you to take note is that because I added 1 inch to the side of the band, when I am transferring the trouser pattern to fabric, I also have to add 1 inch allowance to the side of the trouser. I hope you understand what I mean. Any allowance I add to the band pattern must be the same thing I will add to the trouser pattern. Label the band in a way that you will understand, and for this band pattern, I am going to cut exactly what I have on the pattern on the fabric, and I'll cut out 4 pieces for the band. These are the back pieces on the table, the back trouser pattern and the band pattern. Just like I did for the front pattern, I am going to add the necessary allowance to this band. I have placed the band on another piece of paper and I am going to add ½ inch allowance at the top, ½ inch at the bottom, ½ inch on the center back and 1 inch on the side back. I'll go over it again. I am adding ½ inch allowance at the top, ½ inch on the center back, ½ inch allowance at the bottom and 1 inch on the side back. After adding all the allowance, I'll connect the dots together. This is what we have for the band now. Like I said earlier, please label the band in a way that you will understand. I have placed my front pattern again on the table, and what I want to do here is to cut through the center line so that we can do a bit of slash and spread on the fabric. So cut through the center line, and you are going to cut to the right and left of the knee line, but don't cut through. Cut like you see me doing, and we are going to spread it on fabric. I folded my fabric into 2 and I placed the front pattern on it. I added 1 inch allowance to the side, ½ inch at the top, along the crotch area, ½ inch all the way to the bottom, and I am going to cut it out. For the allowance at the bottom in between the paper, I have 7.5 inches there, and make sure to add your hemming allowance also at the bottom. For the back of the trouser, the back pattern, I'm just going to repeat the same process I did for the front. My fabric is folded into 2. I added 1 inch allowance on the side. At the top, ½ inch allowance. Along the crotch area all the way to the bottom, I added ½ inch allowance. Make sure to notch the dart points on the fabric. To hem at the bottom, I added 1 inch, and in between the patterns there, I have 7.5 inches. I am transferring the pattern for the zipper fly to fabric. My fabric is folded into 2. I am adding ½ inch allowance to one side of the pattern and ½ inch at the top and bottom. These are my band pattern for both the front and the back, and I have cut out exactly what I have on the pattern on the fabric. I have 4 pieces for each of the band pattern. 2 pieces will serve as the main fabric and the other 2 pieces for the lining. I am using the same fabric as the lining piece. The next video will be on the sewing part of the trouser. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.